Hello, everyone. Sorry, we had to restart the router because about 4 minutes before I had to start, nothing was loading. So we had to um, restart the modem. All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2023. Hello, hello, hello. All right. I have a few things I want to show you today. Let me see. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, happy New Year, everyone. Yeah, we had a rough New Year. I am on the tail end of some food poisoning. So I have my crackers, my Juani Lama infusion. My mom has is really, really sick right now, cold and stuff. So we've all, yeah, and and yeah, Brian too, a little fatigued. So we just had a rough couple days, a rough couple days. So we're in recovery mode. Um, oh, somebody asked, what is that? So this is Juani Lama. So what's really cool is last week we were able to go to a bookshop because I wanted to get some guides of the local plants, insects, birds, or anything that I could get my hands on here because it was pretty expensive in the States. Some of the books. So funny enough, there was a book that I really wanted that's been on my wish list, and it's a small book, teeny tiny little book called Medicinal Plants of Costa Rica. And if I ordered it on Amazon in New York, it was $80. But here it was only $16. So I made sure I bought it. Um, so I just have this holding a place right now. I'll show you what this is in a second. But this is the book. It's a tiny book. See, it's super, super tiny. $80 if I were to purchase it when I was in the States. And it's in English. So I just did a quick search and I could pick it up at a local bookshop for 16 bucks. So I just did that instead. But Juani Lama is my mother has a big plant growing in her yard. And so this is what it looks like. Juani Lama. So Juani Lama. Here you go. And it looks very much like a mint. But it's in the verbena. It's like a Verbeniaceae. But yeah, it's great for like it's kind of an alternative for like mint tea. So like any stomach upset, if you're feeling nauseous, anything like that. So that's what I've been drinking mostly. And so this was an infusion I left out. You can kind of see, it's hard to see with the camera, but it's like a yellow color. I let it sit for quite a few hours overnight so that it's a nice, good infusion. So I've been sipping on that, and I've been having crackers. That's where I've been at. But this is really a great book. I'm gonna make like a little list, but even just things like allspice. Oh, and here's a couple interesting ones that I wanted to show you. Oh, chan. So chan, it's very similar to chia, if you're familiar with chia seeds. But they use a lot of chan here, also for like gastric upset. But the cool ones, so these are all like that are used medicinal here. And we've been trying to do a little bit of exploring and stuff, and it's been really nice to talk to folks and hear about different ways that certain plants are being used, and hearing like really cool anecdotes and things like that on folks working with specific plants. But I had a lot of people telling me that they work with Tradescantia zebrina, and I was like, wait, what? And apparently here it's used as a common medicinal. So hold on, let me, oh, that one. And where is Tradescantia? So Tradescantia zebrina. So this is a common house plant. And here, it's also called cucaracha. Cucaracha is the common name because it's a creeper, right? It spreads. And so here, though, it's used as an anodyne. So anodynes are kind of analgesics that you can place on the skin for pain relief, usually things like for headache, antiseptic, astringent, and hemostatic. So antiseptic, of course, to clean wounds. Astringent is also to dry up, to kind of make the tissues pucker up. So if you have like a wound that's kind of weepy, that starts to kind of get infected, it dries all those tissues up. And a hemostatic means something that you would put on a cut to stop bleeding. So I just thought that was really, really interesting. Yeah, so it's used, the fresh juice, hear this, the fresh juice is used to combat hemorrhages and neuralgia of the face. So the leaves are basically mashed, they're macerated, then apply the juice to bleeding cuts or painful areas. So yeah, so if anybody has Tradescantia, now you know. You can use it that way. And then another one that they used here. So when I was in El Salvador, I had heard that snake plants were used to as a remedy for poisoning for dogs to induce vomiting. So I've mentioned before, so Sansevieria snake plants are very toxic to pets, and it does cause vomiting. Might not necessarily be fatal, but it's going to make them very uncomfortable. But in El Salvador, they purposely induce vomiting if their dog were to get into something they weren't supposed to make them basically flush it out. And funny enough, here in Costa Rica, they're also used medicinally. So these are the snake plants. So they used to be known as Sansevieria, but they have been reclassified. So now they're in the Dracaena family. And here they call it lengua de suegra, which means mother-in-law's tongue, which we do use that common name as well. And it's an antifungal, astringent, antiseptic, antibacterial. Super cool. And it's applied to the skin for skin problems. In Belize, it's used, the people chew on the leaves as a remedy for venomous snake bites, which could be why it's called a snake plant. And some preparations, the leaves are chopped into small pieces, soaked in 1 liter of water overnight. The solution is then used as a skin wash like aloe vera. And some folks here in Costa Rica feed this solution to their chickens as well to keep them healthy. So it's just been really neat just learning about all these. And if anybody has lantana, which are known as ham and eggs, they're also here. They're used medicinally. And what I found really interesting was every time I've seen lantana in the States, and I've seen it in growing all along like the East Coast, it's always a short shrub. I don't think I've ever seen it go taller than my hip. And I'm only 5'1". I'm really short, so this is really short. But here, lantana grows like a tree. It's super, super tall. And it's been cool to see them so huge. So a lot of plants that I usually never see get woody or get to a substantial height. Here, you know, there's nothing holding them back, right? We'll have a little growing season, but here they have the wet and the dry season. But for the most part, it's a pretty consistent temperature. So they just grow. But yeah, so I wanted to show you that. And then I bought these two in Spanish. So Flores Tropicales y Árboles Tropicales de Costa Rica. And so these are tropical trees and tropical flowers of Costa Rica. And I got these in Spanish. These were also cheaper here. I think when I tried to search for them over there, they were like $28, $29. And here they were only 12. So I made sure to pick them up here. Then I picked this up, which is a reptile and amphibian guide, but it's both in English and in Spanish. So I really love that. I've been trying to get more practice with my the vocabulary, like the scientific vocabulary in Spanish. So while I'm okay with I grew up speaking Spanish. I'm okay with like conversational Spanish. There's quite a few words like scientific terms that I'm not familiar. I don't know what they would translate to. So this is great practice because then I can see them side by side. I can see some of that vocabulary. But yeah, and I haven't seen any frogs yet. We've seen quite a few lizards and things, but yeah, so I'll let you know if I see anything else cool while we're here. And then I got this. This was the same price as if I bought it in the States. I think it was like a few cents difference. So I just got it here. But this one's also in English. And so it's the insects of Costa Rica. And I actually have seen quite a few. The most interesting was actually when I was looking at the section that's on bees and wasps. I realized that I finally got an identification for a species of bee that I saw when I was in El Salvador. They were the tiniest bees I've ever seen in my entire life. They were like ants. But I took my phone and I got video and I zoomed in and I'm like, these are bees, but I don't know. I've never seen them before. And it turns out they are the smallest species of bees here. And this is what they look like. And I'm gonna edit the video, but look how tiny they are. And they have no stingers, so they're completely harmless. But they look like this, but they're so tiny. I only noticed them because of the opening of their hive. It looked like there was a little cup kind of stuck on the wall. And that's the only reason I noticed that they were even there. So this has been really fun. Unfortunately, I haven't seen any orchid bees. I was hoping I could see them. My mother and her partner have some orchids in the back. So I was really hoping that we would get to see some orchid bees, and look how beautiful they are. They're a bright blue. So I definitely was hoping that we could run into some, but I think the season is starting to get drier. So I'd have to come when it's a little more humid and a little warmer. But this, and then the last thing was this. So this is really cool. It stretches out. I've got a bunch of birds, some trees on this side, and then here. So this is all like wildlife and flora. So there's butterfly, insects, reptiles, amphibians, some mammals. But the coolest one is I showed a video of a squirrel that I saw here that was red with like silver on top. And I was like, I've never seen a squirrel like this. And when I found out it's in here, and guess what the name of the squirrel is? It is called a variegated squirrel. I've never heard of a variegated animal. I have never heard that term used for anything other than plants. So when I saw this, I was very confused, but yeah, ardilla variegada, variegated squirrel. So that's that video that I showed of that squirrel. It's apparently a variegated squirrel. And my uncle, my great uncle, was telling me a story. So my grandfather and I share the same birthday, and his mother also. So my mom, she messed up the order. She was a December baby, but both my great grandmother, my grandfather, and me were all born on May 4th. But my grandfather was really animal crazy. And my family's always said I definitely took after him. But he apparently had a bunch of these as pets. And so he had a couple he had raised up, and then they had their own litters. And so he had a huge cage. And my uncle said that if there were 20 in there, he thinks that's like a small estimate. But that they would run around and they would all go to the cage to go to sleep. And so that was really neat. And he was obsessed with them. He loved taking care of them, playing with them. And that he also had this one. So it says that it's called a paca, but here they call it tepescuintle. And so he had one of these as a pet too. And I think it's a rodent. But it very much looks like has kind of like pig-like features, but I think it's definitely a rodent. So that was super cool. So I've been seeing a lot of cool birds. I saw some of these, which are these blue-gray tanagers. Absolutely beautiful. And so I've been and I saw one of these too. Brian and I, we got some video, but it's not very good. It was hiding in the tree. But I had this, it looked like a giant blue jay with like a weird quail thing on its head. And I was like, what in the world it was big. I was like, what in the world is that? And so it's called a white-throated magpie jay. So that's what we saw. So yeah, so it's been pretty cool. We got pretty close to some vultures as well. We saw some turkey vultures and some black vultures, and they were just perched in a tree, like right there. So we've been getting some cool things to look at. But yeah, so I wanted to show you some of that, and I want to show you. Let me open this up here. So if the connection, so I'll just show you in the meantime. So we were walking around the neighborhood, and I had never seen them in person. I've only seen them in books, but I recognized them immediately. And I said, air potatoes. And so it was a big vine growing on the outside of someone's fence. It was just completely covered. And so it was facing the side of the road, and it had a bunch of floating potatoes. So what these are, it's a dioscorea. It is a vine that produces these tubers, right? And then you can plant them. You can actually get your own plant. So we grabbed, so my mom can put in her garden. But they call them air potatoes because they very much look like a potato. They do have some flat edges. So it looks like a very geometric potato, but from far away, it does look like a regular potato. And so I got to enjoy looking at that. Yeah, they're very, very pretty. The leaves are like heart-shaped. Really, really beautiful. And so I was so happy that I was able to actually see that in person. I didn't even know that they grew here. All right, so let's see if
Jocelyn, and yes, they're
yes.
edible. They're edible, of course. They're edible. The air potatoes are edible.
Oh, I don't know. Are they? Do you know if they are? I don't know if they're edible.
I don't know. I don't know. Do they get any bigger than that?
Oh yeah, there were bigger ones. Yeah.
Maybe they are.
So they were definitely bigger ones. This one just came off. I went to just take a picture and it just came right off. And this one was close to the ground, and so I took this one, because yeah, they were just hanging on the outside.
Funny. Yeah.
But there were bigger ones. There were definitely like bigger ones. This was probably like a medium size one. Yeah, it was really neat. Yeah, there were so many cool things. People, there were ditches full of Dieffenbachias, of Aglaonemas, so like dumb canes, Chinese evergreen is growing everywhere. There there was a bunch of like different species of monstera. So I think we found like some Adansonii, some Lecheriana, I think that's that ones we found. Gosh, there's a bunch of types of Dracaena as well. Just people like there's people. It's very common for like to dump old potting soil and things like that outside into like the ditch. And so there's just house plants that people usually keep. But unfortunately, that also means there's a lot of escape of non-native species, and so we have seen a lot of bamboo in the area.
Can I ask
Yeah.
him where you were?
Where?
Hmm.
Well, we're in Costa Rica.
Okay.
And these where we saw these were in Orosi, the place called Orosi.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's high up in it's higher up, higher elevation, so it's cooler temperature. So we've gone to a few places like that. So we are in Cartago right now, in Agua Caliente, and so it's kind of like a valley. But then and it's pretty warm, but when you go higher elevation, it gets really cold. In Orosi, it was really nice, but you saw that there were a lot of plants that might prefer slightly cooler temperatures. But then when we went to Pacayas, there was fog everywhere. We were really high up, and it was pretty cool. And like in terms of temperature, cool, of course, amazing, but actually cold. And they were growing all these crops like kale and cabbage, like Brussels sprouts. So a lot of crops that would prefer a slightly cooler temperature, and beets. And we were walking around, and we were looking at the plants, and then this guy was like, "Hey, do you guys want some cilantro?" And he was picking cilantro from his garden. And if you know cilantro also prefers slightly cooler temperature. And he just gave us these huge like handfuls of cilantro, which here they call culantro. And it was just hilarious. My mom were just putting like big batches of cilantro into our bags. And there was like people like walking around because they were harvesting, and so people walking around with radishes and things like that. So because it's still growing season here, so it was pretty neat. Let me Yeah, Cindy. So yeah, I'm currently in Costa Rica, and that was in Orosi. And we've been to Pacayas. We've gone to Guanacaste. So we were on the Samara Beach, on Carrillo Beach. Tamarindo is another beach. Then we went to San Carlos by the hot springs. So it's the hot springs. They're natural springs. They're heated by a volcano, the Arenal. and we got to check that out. So oof,
Sounds awesome.
yeah, it's cool. We got to actually go to a lot of different kind of microclimates. So Guanacaste is much more like an arid tropical area. And so it's super cool. Like we definitely tried to make the most and actually because you can go from one area to another. It's a completely different climate, completely different. So we've been trying to get ourselves there. We also met someone. I'm going to try to edit the footage down. But this really cool artist. He's a local artist, and he Orlando. It was Orlando Antonio Arias. Yeah. And he actually makes everything out of recycled materials, and his home. So he used to work at a factory, a ceramics factory, and they wouldn't give you full pieces of ceramic, but you could take anything that broke. So what he did is he basically would bring home bags of broken ceramic tiles, and he basically made a mosaic all over his floor. So he used all of these, recycled and kind of what would have been considered trash, to decorate and make his home. And he even has a car that's made of completely recycled materials. And he had an injury on his leg, so he has this little car that it's only driven by your hands. And a local university helped design the pedal for him, but he made the frame and everything out of recycled material. So I got some really cool footage of that. And he had paintings, and he had made a bunch of hats that don't look like, apparently they're made out of cardboard. You couldn't tell. And he had a bunch of plants. And when you go into his kitchen, he has a giant board, a wooden board that leads from his window to a tree because he's friends with a local raccoon. And so he was talking about how in the mornings he has his coffee, and in the evenings he makes sure that he has to have everything in containers at night, because if he leaves anything out, the raccoon will try to open it if he leaves any like chips or anything like that. And so he says that it's like a routine now that as the sun is going down, he puts any food in containers so that it's safe. But that he has this raccoon that comes to visit him, but he just doesn't want to give him anything to steal. So, so it was such a cool experience. It was really nice. And so we got to meet him, and I got some footage. So I'll put that together to show everyone, because it was really, really neat. And he let me drive the car, and yeah, it's hard. And when because I had a recent fall, and so I had we thought I fractured my elbow, but thankfully I bruised the bone. Still painful, but thankfully not a fracture. So it was a little harder, but holy moly, he must have a lot of upper body strength, because that was a workout, and that was like not even 5 minutes. I was like, holy moly, yeah. So yeah, but that was neat. Arlene, if you buy it used on Amazon, it's $102.66. Ooh, are you talking about the medicinal plant book? Let me know which book. Yeah, holy moly, I'm so happy I got it for $16. Because when I looked it up, when I was still in New York, and I saw that it was $80, I favorited it. And then I was like, I'm gonna see if maybe when I go there I can find some books. And it's literally the exact same book, this little book. And I realized I could pick it up at a local shop. So Yeah, it's crazy. It's such a tiny book. But yeah, I guess, geez, 102 used. I'm glad I found it. My mom thought I was crazy. She buying all these books, but I was like, Mom, you don't understand. I was like, you know how expensive these are over there. So at least I was able to get them. But yeah, let me see if Canva decided to load for me. Maybe. Yes. Okay. So I wanted to show you a couple things. Let's see. Share my screen. Whoop. Nope. Nope. There we go. So here we go. Hold on one second. Oh yes. So it's my connection isn't the best right now, so I'm not even gonna try to watch that little video. Here we go. So, oh, this. So I've been taking pictures of people's front yards because they're so. What's really interesting here is there is definitely a love of plants. My mom was sharing a great story of she actually went to I think she said it was that was weird. Sorry about that. It just minimized this. There we go. It just minimized me, and then it said it was refreshing. Okay. Come on. Where is Google Chrome? There we go. So my mom was telling me that about like last year, her and her partner had gone, I think, to Pacayas. And in the street, there was a portulacaria growing. So it's like a purslane, if anyone's familiar with purslane. So it's like a succulent, had this really beautiful orange flower. And she has purslane here in her home, in her garden. It's like a pink and like a fuchsia type of flower color. So she had never seen the orange variety. So she took a cutting and she started it, and it was growing great. So she started propagating them. She has some recycled tires in front of her house that she used as like gardens, little gardens. And so she had filled them up, and they were growing really great. And she started noticing as she was walking around the neighborhood that a lot of her neighbors now had the same plant. And so she was like, that's odd. I'd never seen anyone in the neighborhood with that plant. And then she looked at her tires and realized that everybody was stealing cuttings and starting their own.
Oh,
And so she was like, oh, it looks like her plant had a trim. So people were taking cuttings to start their own. And so she was saying that that's very much part of the culture here. And what's really interesting is a lot of people don't know the names of the plants, from what I've noticed. So when I check out these front gardens, and if the person is there, I ask them. I'm like, "Hi, so do you know what kind of plant this is? Do you know?" And maybe 99% of I think I only had one person who actually was like, oh yeah, this is this and this is that. Everybody else was, oh, I saw it at a store and it was pretty. Or and so they mostly go, towards the just kind of what the plant looks like. Oh, it's beautiful. And then they will collect all of these plants, but they won't know what they are. So I thought that was really, really cool. And even my mom, she was like, I have all these plants, but she doesn't know the scientific names. And so she was telling me before I leave, she wants me to label all of the plants with the scientific names, so she can so she can practice, because she's like, I only know the common names. So so yeah, so we're gonna definitely do that. But yeah, there's so many and so much variety. So I've been really enjoying kind of taking a peek into folks' gardens. And my mom was also saying that it's very commonplace for guests to ask for cuttings. So if you go to a family member's house, or you go to someone's house for the first time and you see a plant that you really like, and especially if it has what they call hijitos, so it has what they call children. Basically, it has little sprouts, little pups that are growing in. It's not considered like tacky or taboo or or weird in any way for you to say, oh, can I take one of those? And it's completely, that's just common. And some people don't even feel the need to ask. It's just like, oh, look, you have a pup, and then they take, and it's completely considered normal. So it was really, really, really cool to see that. And when we went to visit one of my aunts, my mom did just that. She was like, oh, I love this plant. Can I take one? Can I take a cutting? Can I take? It was funny. But yeah, totally commonplace. And then I wanted to show you some of the plants that I saw. These were huge. They were taller than the house. So these had to be about 15 feet tall. I mean, these were huge.
Wow.
And this, yeah, so I wanted I tried to get a nice close up, because you can see that the flowers are opening up, and there are a few fruits on there, but they're not ripe yet. So I was like, oh man. But this is what the fruit looks like. So the Peruvian apple cactus. Yes.
Jocelyn, does the flower become the fruit?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's what you pictured here then.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So,
Is it sweet?
yeah. So apparently it has like a pear-like kind of taste.
Okay.
So I was hoping I would find one, because I have a Peruvian apple cactus at home, but it's only about this big. It has to be a pretty substantial size to start producing flowers and then fruit. So I was really hoping that I would find one that had ripe fruit, but I missed it. I'll be leaving before these will even be ready to go. So I was like, oh, but hopefully it's on my bucket list to try one. But apparently it tastes very much like a pear. Yeah, so I wanted on this. So here the video is just not loading, because I took a video of the air potatoes, but this is what the leaves look like, these heart-shaped leaves. Really beautiful. I love the deep veins, but this is where those little potatoes were hanging off of them. And you can even see behind them, there's like a Dracaena with a broken. So this was on the side of someone's property. And it looked like, I guess they had done some pruning, some garden work, and there was just piles of broken, like, of like plant material. So there was like Dracaenas, and there was like vines for like Monstera, and this was just happily growing there. Just putting out those tubers. So I made sure to grab some, and my mom took a cutting of the Monstera licheriana as well. It was just a big thing was kind of thrown, and so she was like, I don't want that giant thing. She just took a couple nodes. But yeah, we walk around with a tote bag, because right now a lot of people are doing pruning, and so my mom will even go up to the gardener. Hey, I see you're trimming that bush. Can I get a cutting? And then she's just building up her gardens here. So it's really, really commonplace. I kept going, wait, you can't, you're gonna just ask? And she's like, yeah, it's completely normal here for you to just go up to a random stranger and ask them for a piece of a plant on their property. It's like really. Oh, and when we were waiting for the Uber from Orosi, we were waiting at a corner, and this man had a bunch of orchids and a bunch of succulents, and we were just talking to him while we were waiting for the Uber. And my mom was asking him about this succulent that he had. It looked like a sedum that was in a little pot, but it was cascading out. It looked really beautiful. And she's like, "Oh, what's that called? Like, did you buy it locally? Like, do you know where I could find it?" And he just literally reached in, grabbed it by the roots, took a big chunk, and he just handed it to her with like dirt falling off. And he's like, "Here you go." And my mom's like, "Oh, thank you." And we're just like in the Uber with like this thing. It was just, yeah. So it's seriously common here. And so it was really, really cool to see that.
Wow.
The connection is making these really blurry, but these so I wanted to show you these two flowers that so the yellow ones I saw in the orange color last time I was in Costa Rica in 2019. So I knew it was a Thunbergia, but I hadn't seen the yellow one. So I don't recall seeing the yellow one, so I took that picture. And then in El Salvador, I saw this purple one, and I didn't know it was a Thunbergia. I didn't know what it was. I took a bunch of pictures of it, and totally forgot that I needed to get it identified. And then when I was here, when we were along Guanacaste, along the coast, I started seeing them, and I said, "Wait, I saw these in El Salvador." And so I took pictures, and then I finally got it identified. It's also a species of Thunbergia. And so both of these are growing as vines, but it's Thunbergia grandiflora, and these flowers are a nice size, beautiful, beautiful flowers, and they have a really, really beautiful smell. So yeah, they're so pretty. Oh, and then when we were in Orosi, we picked up some plants for my mom. So there's a Hornia in the back. There's a burro's tail. There's a bunch of different species of sedum and a rabbit's foot fern as well. And so she has a nice little variety there. So I wanted to show you some of the goodies she got. And mind you, it was 3 plants for, was it 50 cents? It was 50 cents for 3 plants.
Oh,
yeah. So we got that. And then Brian freaked out because we picked one of these up. So this, if you're not familiar with it, it's an Alocasia cuprea. So over there in the States, I have seen these sell for $100. I think right now, if you get a really nice size specimen with a couple of leaves, it'll probably set you back about $50, maybe $60, maybe even $75. I have seen smaller ones being sold for about $25 to $35, but it's like one leaf. But a nice size plant is a little bit, it's a little expensive. This plant has 3 giant leaves, has some small ones coming in, as well as 2 seed pods that are in the process of maturing. And it was $5.
oh, wow.
So we can't bring it back with us, of course, but my mother, we were like, all right, so Brian will live his dream of having one of these through through my mom's garden. So we got it for her to have in the garden. So she's like, "Yep, I will plant sit." And we'll see if any of those seeds also can be propagated. But what was really funny is I asked the plant store owner, and I asked him, "Hey, what do you call these here?" And apparently these are called tortuga, so they're called turtles.
Oh.
So over here, these are very common because my aunt does have one, but she only has the one plant. She doesn't have any pups or anything yet, any other bulbs yet. So yeah, here they're called turtles. So I wanted to show you that, but $5 for a cuprea crazy, crazy, crazy. Oh, and so for next week, so I got some footage. My mom's plant has a scale infestation, so I've been getting some footage of that. And so I think it'll be great to have a whole class on just scale, because it is very, very common. And so I think this might be a good class to have on scale. So we'll be doing that next week. And then then these are a bunch of QR codes. So the class is free. If you ever wanted to offer a tip, of course, they're always appreciated, but not necessary, but thank you nonetheless. But for those with Patreon, of course, it's not loading. But yes, I am on Patreon now. Let me see. And the QR code for, gosh, the internet is really but we do have the Amazon wish list, and so that is on the Facebook group. So I can share those links out again if anything. Let me see here. Okay, and then if you wanted to get in touch, info@urbangarden.eco is the best email. For Instagram, same thing. And on the website, if you are in New York City or will be in New York City next weekend, this upcoming weekend, I am doing a walk at Alley Pond Park, a winter plant ID walk. So if you are in the area, so that is on the website. It's also in my link tree in Instagram, or you can message me if you'd like the link to register. But all funds go towards the Alley Pond Environmental Center. And so they have a bunch of great programming for children and adults. And they also have an animal room. So they take in rescues, all different types of species. So if you'd want a little escape, that's definitely a fun place to visit and take some programming there. But let me stop this share here. And I saw there was, let's see. Oh, that's William. Here we go. Oh, Cindy, what was it called? What?
That was the thing that had the seed pods on it before you.
Oh, yes. Yes, the Alocasia, I'll write it here. The Alocasia cuprea. Yeah, the Alocasia cuprea. So hopefully, so it looks like the flowers did indeed get pollinated, and so there's seed pods. So I'm really, really hoping they're way too they're not ripe yet, basically. So they're not there. Sharon, do people in Costa Rica fertilize their plants, or do they just let them be? Great question. So they do fertilize their plants. It really depends on the area that you're located in, because there's a lot of volcanoes in Costa Rica, and so the soil is very rich and very fertile, and it has the biggest rainforest in Central America. So yeah, but depending on where you are, like when we were in San Carlos, in that area by the volcano Arenal, a lot of it is clay. There's like a lot of clay soils. So it's a little harder for certain plants to grow than in Guanacaste. It can get very, very, very dry. So people do use fertilizers, but we went to this place where they rescue parrots, and they actually have a water buffalo. And what they do is they use water buffalo dung. So basically the droppings of the water buffalo, and they fertilize their plants with that. And so they have that as their fertilizer. But in terms of buying like fertilizers, I did see fertilizers available for sale at local plant shops. But it is very common to kind of supplement with like compost and like different things like that. A lot of like natural, like non-commercial fertilizers. So it's sometimes I've heard people talking about using also chicken droppings as well. So there seems to be a lot of folks that are using kind of more natural fertilizers, but they do indeed fertilize a lot of the plants. Yeah, so but it is really fertile soil. It's like dark, rich black soil, so it's great. There's so much biodiversity here. So that's always what we get a big kick out of, and also the size that the plants are reaching. So we're so used to seeing so many plants that are so much smaller, even at like local botanic gardens. I'm used to seeing them much smaller. And then you see these ginormous specimens. So yeah. Cindy, oh, this is my first time. Can I send you a pic and ask if there's anything that can be done to help with it? Yeah, sure. info@urbangarden.eco. Whoops, eco. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Also, I love it when folks send me pictures of plants that they want me to identify. I'm always happy to do that. So definitely, definitely send me plant pics. I love also folks have been sending me pictures too of their holiday cacti, of their Thanksgiving and Christmas cacti blooming. Here, they're actually blooming as well. And so my mom has one that has a pink flower that is I think now it's on the end of its bloom cycle, and she has one that has white blooms. And so, but they haven't opened yet. Yeah, they're going. I think her aglaonema is about to bloom as well. Let me see. Oh, it is blooming. Now it's blooming. Oy. Gotta get down here because it's on the floor. Here, so this is her aglaonema. So now it's actually blooming. So these were, when I checked about 2 days ago, this wasn't open. But here you could see a little space. And it has more flowers coming up here. 1, 2, and 3. Let me see. It has another one over here coming in. So this one has a couple. So this is one of her aglaonemas. And then she has this Dieffenbachia over here. Oh, I can show you. Hold on. You're going on a trip with me over here. Let me see. Okay, so this is my mom's Juani Llama plant. So this one right here. So I love this because you can just open the little greenhouse door. Oh, this one. Hold on. It's this way. You can just open the screen, and then we can just pick some if we needed some. Oh, and there are some orchids that are currently blooming. This one is finishing up. So it has some of these spent blooms right here. These are done. Has some of these new ones. But then this other one just bloomed on the 31st. Let me get some shoes so I can show you. I can go in the yard. All right. Okay. Hello. My mom has a parrot. Oh. Hello. Don't be angry. Here we go. Here, look at this. And apparently it's called chicken feather in Spanish. I don't know what it's called in English, and I don't know its scientific name yet. But apparently it's called pluma de gallina. So that means chicken feather. Really, really beautiful. And we won't be here for the bloom of this one, but this one is starting to get here, this little stem here that the flowers will come out of. And there's another one. Oh yeah, and this one. So we will be missing this one, but so these. So I was asking William to make sure to take pictures for me, so I can show everyone. I'm just climbing over the little gate here. Oh, and oh, so this is the portulacaria I was mentioning that has the orange flowers. So this one. So it's very succulent leaves, gorgeous, gorgeous orange flowers. So this is what she took as a cutting, about like this big, and it became this. And so that's why she started propagating it out front. And now everybody on the block has the plant now. And then her air plants are blooming as well. So here, these are air plants. This is an orchid, but these air plants are blooming. These had already bloomed, and these are the seed pods. Let me see if I can grab any more seeds here. Got the hair of the seeds. Yeah, so there's still some seeds in here. So these are caught by the wind. And oh, and this is what this gentleman was pruning, this Adansonii. So it was a huge vine just chucked on the side of the road. So my mom took a section of it. So we're gonna try to see if it'll take. Some of the leaves were damaged because it was just kind of thrown there. So we're hoping that the nodes will take, and then she'll have this kind of growing here. Let me see if there's anything else that we planted. No, I think she put the other ones in there. Here we go. So, whoops. This was also a peperomia that we found, also in the ditch. There was just like a bunch of things that had been uprooted and just thrown. So we were finding that. And then this was the little rabbit foot fern that she picked up. Oh, we also found a string of hearts at a local nursery as well. So she had never seen this one. So we picked that up for her. Oh, and then this is the sedum the gentleman shared with her. So it's been potted up. So it was just a clump that was given. But yeah, let's see. Whew. It is getting warmer. All right. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in. Definitely wanted to share some of these cool things that are happening here in Costa Rica. I'll put a list too of these books if anybody wants to check them out. And I'll put a list of basically the plants that are discussed in this, and I'll take a picture of those pages with the snake plant and the Zabrina in there. Oh, and so the yucca, so the juca. We actually have on our property, we have 2 giant trees, yucca trees, and I don't want to cut them down. So I was telling Brian, I want us to do the construction around them because I definitely don't want to take them down. Trying to see if there's any other cool plants to show you here. Oh, so here one of their invasive species is the strangler fig. We have seen it firsthand. I have been able to actually get a couple of shots. And so the strangler fig, it basically, it's also been become an invasive species in Florida. So I know it's made it to the States as well. And I believe it was originally, I think it's originally from Asia. But yeah, it's become an issue because it basically grabs on to neighboring trees and uses them as scaffolding, and so it holds on to them, and essentially it does indeed strangle them. It ends up killing them in that process. But here they actually use it to so they make an incision in the tree trunk to collect the white sap. 1 tablespoon of this latex is mixed with water and drank before breakfast for 3 days, and it's meant to if anyone has any parasites and things like that. So really interesting. So I'll make sure to take a couple a couple pictures of some of these pages so that you can check them out, because super neat. There's so many plants in here that I've seen, and I never even knew that they were considered medicinal. So those, it's been super cool to learn that. We also saw a bunch of passion flower vine. So we saw passion fruit hanging. So that was really neat. A bunch of papaya, but they're not ripe yet. Also, Mimosa pudica. So here they call them dormilonas, which means sleepyheads. And so when you when you touch them, they close. So in the States, they call them the sensitive plant. And so they respond to stimuli. So when you touch them, they'll close, and it takes a couple hours usually for them to reopen up. They will also close if the sun is really strong. So it's a kind of a way to keep themselves from drying out. But here they also use them so as a sedative, an anodyne, so for pain relief, and an antispasmodic. So antispasmodics are something that would work with your smooth muscles. So if you're having spasms in your gastrointestinal tract, reproductive tract, and so in your bladder even. So here it's used like that. What I always love about Mimosa pudica is it's been used in the study of plant memory. And so there was this really cool experiment where they created like a little chute, and they would throw the plant from a smallish height, but they would keep throwing it basically in this controlled environment. And at first, every time the plant hit the floor, it would close because it's responding to the stimuli, to the vibration. It thinks it's in danger. And so after several weeks of these experiments, the plants stopped responding. So the minute that they would drop them, the plant realized there's nothing for me to be scared of, nothing is happening to me. So it just stopped closing. But when they would take the new plants that had never been dropped before and would drop them, they would close. And so it's been a plant that's very much used in plant research, and in this case, in that experiment about plant memory. And so why, evolutionarily speaking, why would a plant want to kind of learn, right, about certain types of stimuli? Well, it's also because that takes, some energy. So apparently the way they close is they actually shift like the water inside of the stems, and that causes it to, it's kind of like hydraulics, so it causes it to close. And so with these plants, I mean, it's, if it realizes, like, for instance, that plants can recognize what is rain, what is the wind, right? And so it's not sounding the alert, right? Whenever it's not, something's not trying to eat them, right? It's just the wind, it's just the rain. And so by kind of learning certain type of stimuli, they can basically learn, do I need to expend energy? Do I not? So it's super cool to see all these things. And I have some books about these really cool experiments that they do with plants. So I can definitely show you. Oh, and then this one is a kalanchoe. So when I was in El Salvador, I had mentioned that I had learned that in Salvador, kalanchoe is currently being used as a potential treatment for cancer. And here they actually grow it as well, a lot of different kalanchoes, but I specifically saw this type in front of someone's home, and I had never seen it before. I knew it was a kalanchoe, but that's as far as I got. I didn't know what species it was. And so then this one is called kalanchoe pinnata, and it's used here as an antiseptic, an astringent, a hemostatic, so again, to stop blood, and for pain relief, used for cold, flu, chronic illness, infections, skin problems, headaches, bruises, strains, and sprains. So kalanchoe, who would have thunk? Right, but so I'll definitely share some of these pages with folks, because super neat. Also like hibiscus. So yeah, it's been really neat kind of coming across these and seeing how they use a lot of these plants here. So I'm happy to share what I'm learning here. But yeah, if anyone has any further questions.
Jocelyn, I looked up the air potato, if it was edible, and a lot of sites said that it is poisonous. The tubers are poisonous. It's some type of a yam, the wild air potato. And then a couple other sites did say that if you boiled it for a couple of hours, that you could remove the toxins that way, so you could eat it. So it's like a touch and go. I would probably just leave it on the vine, instead of picking it to eat it. But that was interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, oh, that's so neat. Yeah, I had no idea about their edibility. But that is super, super neat. And that is really cool in terms of there are quite a few species of plants that are toxic, but that then are still consumed, but after there has to be some type of process, like the boiling, like if anyone's familiar with Kentucky coffee tree that's in the States, and that one's very toxic. When you take out the seeds from the pods, they're covered in this green kind of goo that's really, really toxic. However, if you clean the goo off and you take those seeds, they're about like that big, you put them on a pan and you roast them. I think it's at like 300 degrees, something like that. Has to be like really, really hot. for a couple hours, it becomes safe for you to crush. So you can kind of put it through an herb grinder. And it's an alternative for coffee. It's a stimulant.
Oh,
And it's safe, but only after it's been like basically burnt,
yeah,
essentially.
wow.
And things like that, like angelica root can be harvested, but you can't eat it fresh because it can be very toxic. So you have to let it dry out before you can consume it.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's so many things like that, and it's neat that folks had figured it out. We actually had this conversation with my great uncle. We were talking about how, because my mom was preparing this very traditional dessert here, that's usually done during Easter time. But she wanted us to have the experience of making it and tasting it. And so it's called miel de Ichivere, right? Ichivere. And so basically it looks like a pumpkin, but it's like white and green. And the inside is white. And so there's a whole process where you have to take everything out. Then you have to put the contents basically into a bag, like a pillowcase, a cloth bag, and then it has to be beat for it to become very like fibrous, kind of like spaghetti squash. It gets very, very fibrous. And then once that is it's all kind of become this really fibrous type of material, then that is thoroughly kind of squeezed and wrung out, so it's completely dry. And then a bunch of different things like honey, the bitter orange, pineapple, cloves, so scented cloves. So a bunch of different things are boiled down into this kind of like a honey. It's mixed in, and then we had to do everything over a wood stove. It was a huge process, hours of work, but it tastes amazing. And my uncle was just talking about that. He's like, who came up with this? This takes like 8 hours to make. And you have to make sure that everything is right, or you can, potentially get sick. So he was like, just how do people even think of these things?
Yeah.
So it's cool, but it reminded me of this book called The Cosmic Serpent, in which an anthropologist asked some indigenous peoples that were in South America, and he had asked them how they figured out the recipe for ayahuasca. Because it's a vine, and it's a combination of two, I think at least two plants, but without each other, it doesn't work. So if you just use the vine, it doesn't do anything. If you just used like the shrub, doesn't do anything. You have to use both of them in combination for it to work. And when he asked the people, well, how did your ancestors figure that out? I mean, how did you know to combine those specific two plants and that would elicit that type of effect? And yeah, they just said, well, the plants told us. the plants told us. Yeah. And so I was telling my great uncle that. He's like, I'm not gonna say. He's like, that's true, you don't know, he's like, you can be if you're living in the forest amongst the plants, it's like a different level of connection there. So he's like, I wouldn't put it past you, that could have definitely been it. Yes, George, miel de chiverre, yes, exactly. And I can actually show you what it looks like. And so after the whole process, because we made a giant amount of it. It was like a huge pot. It was huge. But this is what it looks like. So now we have a bunch of little containers full of it. So whoop, there you go. So I know it just looks like a brown mess, but it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. There's chunks of pineapple, and this like honey, and it smells so good. So we have a bunch in containers because we have to give out to family too. But yes, yes. Oh, thank you, George. So George just shared an article about ayahuasca. Why do people take ayahuasca by Emma Thelwell? Thank you. If you're interested in kind of learning a little bit more about the history of ayahuasca or like the experience itself and things like that, that book, The Cosmic Serpent, is really good. It's also available as a PDF, which I happen to have. So I'm happy to send you that PDF if you want to read it. I've read the book twice already. It's a very short book. I think it's like 100 pages or so. Maybe 100, like 150 maybe, but pretty short book. If you want to check it out, I am happy to send that your way because I do have a PDF copy of it. So I always recommend that book. It's a beautiful book. Even the anthropologist, when he has his own experience, because he decides, because usually he says, like, he explains as an anthropologist, you're just an observer. So you usually you aren't, at least in the way that he was approaching his work, he wasn't trying to partake. He was just trying to be like an unbiased observer. But his curiosity got got the better of him, and he decided, well, what better way to understand what is happening? I can't fully understand if I don't participate. And so he went ahead and participated, and he had some visions, and when he told the members of the tribe and that he was working with, like, wow, like, I saw these things, and he was explaining about these visions that he saw, and how he wished, he could like capture them somehow, maybe like draw them and things like that. That they told him, why didn't he take a picture? And what was really interesting is, for them, that wasn't considered a hallucination. That was considered reality. So the experience was a real experience. So if they were seeing it, they believed everyone was seeing it, right? It was happening in reality, like in real time. And so they were telling him, oh, that's easy. Just take pictures like of what you're seeing. And he was trying to explain to them that what he was seeing was in his mind, but it wasn't. But yeah, it was like a loss in translation type of thing. It was really cool. It's a great, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. Highly recommend. Priscilla, yeah, let me know if you can private message me your email address, and I'm happy to send the book your way. But yeah. Yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for hopping on. I hope this this year has started off on a good note. We've had a rough couple years, so I'm hoping things can't get any worse. So we'll see. Brian and I were kind of grateful that we missed some of that really bad weather in New York, and we'll be getting back Wednesday morning, and so I think it's supposed to be at I don't oh, that's supposed to be sorry, Brian was like signing something. Yeah, it'll be about 60 degrees when we get back. So we're grateful for that. At least we're not getting back to like 20 degree 20-degree weather. So we have a few days to acclimate to the colder weather, because here it's been basically like 70-80 degrees. So yeah. Thanks. Thank you so much, everyone. And I always enjoy sharing and just kind of, letting you know what's going on, what I'm seeing, and cool fun facts I'm learning. So it's always awesome to hop in here and talk with everyone and share this stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a joy. Oh no, someone said, yeah, that, oh, you live in Buffalo. Oh no. Oh gosh. I hope that you're okay and that everything was okay. I heard so many people lost power and gosh. Oh, and finally the snow is melting. Okay, great. Geez, 4 feet. Holy moly.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Mm.
Oh, but thank you so much, everyone. And please stay safe. I'm hoping maybe the bad weather is
Yeah, it's
done.
gone. Yeah.
Let's leave that in 2022. And
Mhm.
hopefully we'll have some good ones. Oh no, you lost power. Oh no, and poor plants that were smashed outside. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
So sorry. Yeah, they were passing it here in the news, and they were saying that it was the coldest weather all over the states in the last 40 years. And so
mhm.
uh I'm like, oh no. So
Mm.
we'll see. We'll see if hopefully it's, yeah, that's doesn't become the new normal. But thank you so much for tuning in. Please enjoy the rest of your week. Please stay safe. For those of you in colder states, stay warm. And oh, and it's almost 60 there now. Yeah, yeah. The weather is seriously crazy right now. So please stay safe, everyone. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And yeah, we'll reconnect next Monday. Yeah, I'll be tuning in from New York. So I'll be back. But
Okay,
thank you so much, everyone.
you're
Please stay
welcome.
safe.
Bye, Jocelyn. Bye.
Bye.